Him. He's not talking about people there. You'll see what he's talking about in just 2 seconds. For all that is in the world, and he mentions three things: desires of the flesh, desires of the eyes, pride in possessions, is not from the Father, but is from the world. And the world is passing away, along with its desires. But whoever does the will of God abides forever. Now we know at least three of the forces in the world that have to be conquered, have to be overcome. Chapter 5, verse 4 says, the reason loving people is not burdensome is that those who have been born again overcome the world. And now we see here what in the world needs to be overcome. And the answer is the desires of the eyes, the desires of the flesh, and pride in possessions. Now, just step back from those three and just try to see a pattern there. There are several patterns there. I'm only going to give you one. It's just divide them in half. If you don't have something you really want, you crave it, you desire. Now that's the first two: desire of eyes, desire of flesh. There's something out there I don't have, I really want it. It has a very high place in my affectional ranking, and I crave it. And the other one is, I already have it, and I'm really proud of having it. You see how the world works? Mingled with my sinful, unregenerate heart. The world's very powerful, and it can kill me in two ways. It can withhold itself from me, or it can give itself to me. Either way, I'm dead if I don't have a regenerate heart. If it holds itself back from me, I want it so bad, it's all I think about. I angle all my behaviors to get there. Jesus calls it serving money. Man cannot serve two masters. You're serving it in the sense that you're calculating all of your mind, all of your strategies, all of your energy. Think about it, go there, do that, get that. That's your God. And if it came to you, you're rich, you're not poor. You talk about your portfolio, you talk about your cars, you talk about your house, you talk about your computers. You talk about the stuff you have and never about Christ. Because you know who your God is. It's the stuff you have. And you're really glad you've got it. So either way, that's the pattern I see. Either way, the unregenerate heart is an idol factory, and it is idolatrous for what it doesn't have, and it's idolatrous for what it does have. Pride in this, craving for this. That's what's got to be conquered. And chapter 5, verse 4 says, for everyone born of God conquers that. That's what the new birth does. That's what the new birth does. So what's the solution? How does the new birth do that? That's link number 3. So link number 1 is loving God means loving people without a sense of, oh, I hate loving people. I wish I didn't have to love people. It's so burdensome to love people. I just would like to do something else besides loving people. That's not the way the newborn person talks. Rather, it is not burdensome to do this. That's link 1. Link 2 is, how does that happen? The answer is, everyone born of God has overcome the world, which creates desires and pride that keep you from loving people. You know, just look at your experience that if you're consumed with craving for stuff, you're not loving people. You would just as soon get to the stuff. You're on your way to Best Buy to get the stuff. And here's a needy person, and there's nothing in your heart going to that needy person. It's on the new computer. That's the stuff that you're so craving to have. Or you've got it now, and you just want to get home and show that it's the latest for a month. And so you'll ignore them that way too. Don't have it, doesn't matter. They don't count. The stuff counts. That's what's got to be broken. And it gets broken through the new birth, verse 4a. First half of verse 4 says, now, my question is, and I'm just following him, asking him questions that I know he's answering. How's that work? How does the new birth do that? That's real important for you to know. And that's the last part of verse 4. And we just said, everyone born of God conquers, gets victory, overcomes the world. And then he adds, and this is the victory. Here's how it happens. This is the victory that overcomes the world. Our faith. Faith overcomes the world. Faith is of such a nature that the root of cravings severed. Faith is of such a nature that the root of pride is severed. So you got to ask, what's faith that it does that? Because a lot of you have a really, really mechanical notion of faith. Like believe a fact here or there. I'll tell you, in the Bible, faith is powerful, alive, massively significant and influential in life. It is not a little sentence that you sign off on or affirm from a doctrinal statement alone. It is so powerful. It is the victory that overcomes these incredible forces surrounding us in this 21st century world. How does it work? The most immediate effect of the new birth is that life is created in a dead heart. Spiritually, we were spiritually dead. We loved stuff. We didn't love God. We loved stuff. We didn't love people. We were dead. We were completely circulating in the sphere of this world and operating according to its desires. And then the new birth comes on the wings of the gospel and the Spirit, and it touches, remember, and life happens. And the first mark of this life in the heart is it sees the world differently. It was blind. You can say it was dead, or you can say it was blind. And you can say a lot of other things about it, but let's just say dead and blind. And when the life is given, sight is given. And the cross looks different, sin looks different, the brooch looks different, everything looks different, and immediately, with no lapse of time, the born-again heart receives Christ. You don't in new birth see Him as supremely valuable and say, let me think about it a minute. You don't do that. That's not what the new birth does. That's what some views, I'm not going to name them, some views say the new birth does. The new birth awakens you to see Him as irresistibly true and compelling and beautiful and desirable and valuable, so that He becomes, by your receiving, your treasure. That's what the new birth awakens, and that is faith. Faith is the immediate effect, no lapse, of the sight of Christ as true and beautiful and valuable, crucified, risen for me, and bringing me everything of God that I need. And thus faith is a welcoming or receiving act. It sees and receives instantly. That's what faith does, and that's what's created by the new birth. Faith thus conquers the desire of the eyes and the desire of the flesh. You are no longer in bondage. It is broken. It is decisively severed. The root is severed. The branch that went up from the root may have a little bit of